Alright guys, it's going to be the third and final example game for our UG Soulbound deck. So opening hand here is mediocre at best. We do have the Force Mage, which is great. That can give us a decent start. Evolving Wilds will fetch us the blue mana that we need. We have 3 greens though, and that's a little bit troublesome, and then the Giant Assault could be good if we find ourselves another creature to pair this with. So, of course, going to start off with Evolving Wilds to fetch out the island that we need to get things really going. There we go. Now we draw into Mana Leak, which is great. Leaves us open for a turn 2 counterspell on whatever my opponent has going on here. So, puts down an island, taps out to play Ravenous Rats, and I start to counter here, and I decided, you know what, I want to save this counterspell for something better. It's early in the game, I have a full hand, I can discard to this. And now, interesting choice between a Forest and an Aether Tradewinds. There's 2 sides to this. The Tradewinds is what I went with because I wanted to keep the Forest in hand, so in case I did not draw any additional lands and got a Lumberknot, I could still make sure that I got that Lumberknot into play on turn 4 because I do have a Soulbound creature available for it. So I did opt to get rid of the Tradewinds at this situation. So that comes down, going to put down the Force Mage, just to get it on the table, again, hoping that I get a Lumberknot, but my opponent starts out with a Dead Weight to kill that off right away, so I'm going to have to take a little bit of damage. Definitely sad to see it go, but we do get Coiling Oracle into play now. This does reveal us another Tradewinds, which is okay. It kind of negates the fact that we had to lose one to the Ravenous Rats, but we do not have mana available to play it right now. Opponent does not make a land 3 drop, so that gives me an opportunity here to really get ahead. I decided here I'm going to attack through with the Oracle, leave mana available to me so I can use Prohibit if necessary, hit Mana Leak as well because my opponent is a little stuck on land. It does make Mana Leak a better option here. It's one of these things I talk about a lot is the fact that you want to use the counterspell that is more specific. For instance, if I had Prohibit and Counterspell in hand and my opponent plays a 2 mana cost card, you want to use the Prohibit instead of the Counterspell because the Counterspell can counter anything, whereas Prohibit has a limitation as to what it can counter. So here, both cards have a limitation. Prohibit is the size of the mana cost, and Mana Leak is based on how much land they have available otherwise. So it's very situational. Early in the game, when your opponent has very little land available, you want to go with the Prohibit for a 2-cost counterspell. A counterspell for a 2-cost creature or spell your opponent may play. As the game progresses, Mana Leak becomes less powerful, but in the early game, it's still good now. My opponent, again, did not, it's turn 4 now, didn't hit a 3rd land, so I'm definitely thinking if I need to, the Prohibit is going to be my best option, and I still have several turns before Mana Leak is going to lose its effectiveness. So when he plays Augur of Skulls here, and I know I want to counterspell that, I am going to go with the Prohibit as opposed to the Mana Leak. Now, end of turn, I'm going to make another move here. Again, this is turn 4, so my opponent did not get a 3rd land by turn 4, so I'm going to make a move and actually use Aether Tradewinds to bounce the Swamp in addition to the Coiling Oracle. So, a bit of a dick move, I guess I will admit that, but it's a strong play in this situation. Going to put down the Coiling Oracle again first as opposed to the Shieldmate, because my opponent does have a lot of options to kill off creatures, and this will give me an opportunity to hit a land off the Oracle and still be able to play Shieldmate. So you see here it reveals a Force Mage, which is still good because I do have mana available. I didn't hit that land. If I had gotten a land, I could have put the Shieldmate down and protected both creatures. But because I didn't, I still have the opportunity to play Force Mage on this turn, and my Coiling Oracle is that much better. Even though he has Summoning Sickness and I missed the turn of attacking my opponent, he's still going to have the opportunity to chump block the rats. Now, unfortunately for me, my opponent does have an answer in Agony Warp, and he's going to be able to kill off that mage. kind of the downside, you have to be careful with the soulbound creatures and the fact that interactions, if you were attacking and blocking and he assigns enough damage to kill off the force mage, and say the oracle at a 2/2 was just 1 damage away from dying, well, as soon as that force mage dies, the oracle goes back to being a 1/1 and is going to take, he's still going to have that 1 damage assigned. Just something to keep in mind is that these soulbind effects only last as long as the other, the soulbound creature is in play. That is the creature that is offering Soulbond. So draw into a land here, which is good. It's our 6th land, so we can play the Shieldmate and still have available mana for Mana Leak. Things are even better because my opponent is tapped out, so being control, having a kill spell, it's the best time to play it right now before the Shieldmate does get the hexproof. It would be in response to that, kill it, but because he is tapped out, he does not have that opportunity. And I'm going to be able to keep those two alive for a little longer. Opponent's still not hitting land, and now we draw into a Lumberknot. This puts us in an interesting situation right here. I'm going to attempt to attack into my opponent in hopes that he blocks with the rats and trades those. It's a little early still, having my opponent at 18 life. He's not likely to do it, but again, I want the Oracle to die so I can get this Lumberknot into play, because that means the Oracle dying means that the Shieldmate is no longer bound. So when the Lumberknot comes into play, it has the opportunity to bind with the Shield Mage. Unfortunately, he decides not to block, so I'm going to have to attempt this a couple of turns. Even worse now, he attacks through, which means that he is going to give me damage. He's not going to have anything available to block with. Even worse, he gets the Ninja into play, so that means he is going to draw cards off this and is probably going to finally find his 3rd land. So as we move to his 2nd main, he still does not have the mana available to him. Now again, what I wanted to do here is hope that one of these would die. Probably what I should have done is left the Oracle to block if I wanted to ensure that. Right now it's just going to be able to do damage, but kind of an interesting thing, I knew he discarded a rats here, but I figured that he still had a rat in hand, so I had enough mana available to me that I have Mana Leak, Lumberknot, and Joint Assault, and I can pay for all of these. So I want to be able to empty my hand. I know he's going to attempt to make me discard. I could have, I guess, kept the Lumberknot and stuff because I do have the Mana Leak and he does not have mana, but I really wanted to have this Lumberknot in play so that it loses Summoning Sickness and I can get another creature in with that Soulbind ability to, maybe next turn I top something that can bond with it, can give it, some ability and allow it to attack on my next turn. Now he comes and does play that 2nd rat, and I will use the Mana Leak, even though it kind of cancels it out because I lose my hand anyways, but this way at least he is not keeping that 1/1 body on the field. So now he's going to attack through with the Ninja. I cannot block on this, and he does decide to concede out. In chat here he says that he still didn't get a land. I'm guessing that he didn't have an option to kill the Lumberknot. I mean, I have no hand. He was definitely far from out of this game, and I was only 4 life ahead of him, but the frustrations, I guess, over not drawing land off of the ninjas and stuff is what's going to take to finish this off for him. So there you go. Hope this game shows a couple nice interactions on dealing with control. I realize it wasn't the greatest game because of my opponent's mana screw, but still, some interesting concepts as far as, trying to debate what to do with soul bonds and how to really manipulate those. It's a lot of fun. It's definitely not tricky, but it at least makes you think, which is always a good thing. So go check out the other videos if you haven't already, and definitely check out the article.